there my lovelies, and welcome to my BookTube channel, The Sassy Library Fox. My name is V, and today I'm going for my April wrap-up. April was an interesting month because I actually managed to read 4 books, even though I have no idea how I did that, because April was such a busy month. No, seriously. The weekends were always packed with things to do and places to be, and I even was on a business trip for 1 week in total, so I barely got any reading done during that week because my brain was fried at night. There was so much information, I just couldn't pick up a book and do something else. I basically fell asleep and woke up the next day to be back at work. So yeah, April was extremely busy. I also met a fellow booktuber in April, and it's Beki, a teacup, the storyteller. And Beki, if you see this, thank you so much for spending time with me in Vienna. It was amazing. We went to bookshops, we had a great time, and yeah, it was lovely and nice. I will make a short video about that trip as well. I think it will be the next one I get up. For now, I'm just trying to get up my wrap-up video. Yeah, considering I was so busy in April, I honestly don't know how I managed to read 4 books, but I did. And I'm going to tell you about those 4 books today. I got my cheat sheets at the ready. As always, I got my coffee. You didn't think I would start a video without my coffee, did you? I'm gonna take a sip here. And we are going to get a little bit comfy so I can talk about the 4 books I read. They all had pretty high ratings, so considering the content of the books, I was happy too. Yeah. Without further ado, let's just jump into the first book I read and finished in April, and it was A Steeping of Blood by Hafsah Faizal. I hope I pronounced it right. I honestly don't know how to pronounce the name, but yeah, please be with me. I'm very bad at pronunciation, as you might know if you've been on this channel for a while. Yeah, I rated that one 4 paws. It was already the 2nd book in a series. I really enjoyed the first book, A Steeping of Blood. It was nice, it was great. It's some sort of haste story with vampires and yeah, interesting characters, intriguing characters I may add. In the first book we follow Afi and Jin, Casimir. They are siblings, not by blood, but they kind of adopted each other and decided to make the world a little bit more interesting. They built a tea house, and during the day it's actually a real tea house, but at night it's a place for vampires to go and drink blood, a blood bar you might say. So they made their living with this kind of controversial tea shop, and they are some sort of thorn in the side of the Ram. The Ram is the monarch who runs the empire they live in, and apparently the Ram wants to get rid of them, and thus starts their haste to save their blood bar slash tea house. Yeah, I really enjoyed the first book. I loved all the characters, they were so interesting. We have an artist named Matteo. We have Artie and Jin, Casimir. We have Flick, a nobleborn's daughter, and we have a guard who decided to work against the Ram. It's all very interesting, very intriguing. I personally loved the first book, and the 2nd book was great too. We got a lot of interesting scenes in here. After the ending of the first book, I was so curious how this one would continue. I was happy or well, not exactly happy for some of the characters, but I was good with the way things turned out. But then the ending happened and I was thrown for a loop, and I still didn't recover from that ending. I'm gonna write a review about this and sort through my feelings, because I was not okay. Or, like the Count in Moulin Rouge would say, I don't like this ending. Yeah, I didn't like this ending either, but I will have to think about what to say about this. My rating stands 4 paws, and yeah, it was a good book, it was a great book, and then the ending happened and I wasn't happy anymore. Let's leave it at that and head to the second book I read in April, and it was Half City by Kate Golden, and I rated that one with 4.5 paws. I just love Kate Golden's books. I was a fan from the very first book I got as an ARC back then, and nothing changed. This series, it was the beginning of a series, is great as well, because I'm gonna take a sip here. This is going to take a little bit longer to explain. with Abbott. And with Abbott is vampire slayer, demon hunter, whatever you want to call her. Her father taught her the art of hunting demons, and ever since he died on a mission, she's been fighting for herself until one day there comes Reed. And Reed is a demon, but he is recruiting her for an academy of sorts that has students that fight against all sorts of monsters. And even though Viv doesn't trust the demon, she still wants to check the place out. And yeah, in the end, she actually stays there because there are plenty of people that are exactly like her and hunt monsters for a living, or not for a living, in their spare time while they try to have normal jobs. Yeah, or they try to seem normal with normal jobs. Isn't turning out that well for Viv in this book, but yeah, anyway. She is among her own kind, and she's quite happy with it. And the friend group of Viv was so great. I loved them all, from Peter to Elliot to Sophia and Penny. They were all great. And yeah, it kind of read like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it was fun. I really enjoyed that. Also, the chemistry between Reed and Viv was off the charts. I loved them together. They started out as total enemies and then kind of turned into lovers. The transition from enemies to lovers was a little bit fast. Yeah, I gotta admit that. But I didn't mind. I mean, at least Viv started to think about yeah, how hot Reed is. So yeah, I think there could have been a little bit more build up, but that's just my humble opinion. It worked for me either way. I enjoyed it, and yeah, the ending kind of was unexpected, and there was a huge plot twist I didn't see coming. Yeah. It also ended on an extremely mean cliffhanger, so I hope to get the second book into my greedy hands soon, which is the reason I'm going to get this video up ASAP, because I need to write my review about this arc and need to get it out into the world so that other people can discover this story as well. I personally love that one. I was a huge fan of Reed. Reed was really, for a demon, he is pretty lovely. Yeah. And this had all the suspense, the dark academia vibes. There was never a dull moment, and I just vibed with it and really enjoyed it. So I can highly recommend reading that one. It was great. And I can't wait to read book 2 because that ending, oh my god. Yeah. Next one, the third book I read in April, is just me saying a couple of sentences to it because it actually was Diebe im Olymp by Riordan, and yes, it is the German version of the first book of the Percy Jackson series. I read that one with my kid and we had a blast and a really good time, and my kid loves Percy as a character, and yeah, I think I might have to buy the second book soon because the enjoyment was so high that I'm constantly being asked for book 2 now. Yeah, it was fun, it was nice, it was very good for children at the age of my kid. And yeah, I think book 2 should be okay to read as well. I don't know about book 3, 4 and 5, but I will think about it. Yeah, I'll definitely get to book 2 with my kid soon-ish because yeah, Percy Jackson left an impression. Yeah, and of course I read it in German because my kid's mother tongue is German. So that was interesting. As translations go, this one wasn't bad. I think they did a really good job at translating from English. I think just sometimes a lot of things get lost in translation, and I like Percy's seaweed brain way more than the German translation. Yeah, but with languages it's always like that. Some things just get lost and you can't really transport it into the other language. Yeah, some phrases and things. It's not that easy, but they did a good job at translating it into German. Yeah. Okay, enough said about that one. Last sip. Last book I read in April, and it was The Crash by Freida McFadden. I already spoke about that, and I think I spoke about it in one of my to-be-read videos. And this one was really interesting. I think by now I get a grasp, or a good grasp, of Freida McFadden's writing style and how she goes for plot twists. And this one was really great. We have Tegan, and Tegan is 8 months pregnant and on her way to her brother in the mountains. He's a ski instructor there and tells her to come to him. And yeah, she has a long shift at the supermarket she works at, and then gets off late and gets right smack in the middle of that blizzard and ends in a crashed car in the middle of a snowstorm with a, well, supposedly broken ankle. Not ideal. She actually thinks that she's going to die until a man saves her. And the man's name is Hank. He is a mountain of a man, and Tegan is very scared of him and very suspicious of him until he brings her to his cabin where his wife waits. His wife is named Polly, and Polly makes Tegan comfortable in the basement because there is a bed. Yeah, that one was really quite something. Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything here, but I think I get Freida McFadden's brand now because nothing is ever the way it seems, and at the end of the book there are always some plot twists you never saw coming. So yeah, I think I might like to have a little bit of time between reading Freida's books. I know Freida wrote so many thrillers by now, but if they are all running with the theme or with the same theme of there are going to be plot twists at the end of the book and the build up takes a little while and nothing is the way it seems, it might get repetitive after reading 3 or 4 books in a row. So I think Freida is an author like Ellie Hazelwood. You just read one book every couple of months and you will be fine. Yeah, I honestly don't know if this is the way I expect it to be, since I only read 2 of Freida's books, but there was a trend to see. So yeah, if you've read more of Freida McFadden's books, please let me know if I'm right with my assumption that the books are always in that kind of vein. And yeah, for now I will make a pause and pick up the next Freida McFadden book in a couple of months, I think. I honestly don't know what I will read then, but yeah. The Crash was good, the pregnancy theme was handled well. I could read the book, I didn't have to DNF it, as I feared. So there's that. I read it with full pause and yeah, I really enjoyed that story. It was nice to read in between and to get my mind off things. So I think all of the books I read last month were like that, so that's probably the reason why I managed to read 4 of them. Anyway, those were the 4 books I read in April, even though it was such a busy month. And I would really love to hear if you've read one of those books, if you are planning to read one of them. Honestly, if you've been a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you definitely have to pick up Half City because it's great. Yeah, I would also love to hear which kind of books you read in April. Were they great? Were they entertaining? Suspenseful? And if you've read a couple of Freida McFadden's books by now, let me know if they are all in that sort of vein, or if it's just The Boyfriend and The Crash. Those are actually the 2 books I managed to read from her by now. Yeah, okay, so I guess that's it. And there's nothing left to say except of take care, stay healthy and safe, and see you around the next time. Bye!